All right, let's get right into some updates and changes on your software. If you have downloaded the latest, I've got some settings changes you want to do for Enigma as well as the speedometer. Let's pull those up right now. All right. Okay, we've got our default workspace open here. You're going to go into workspaces and let's go over to the Enigma workspace right here. And we are going to make some changes on that if you've got the Enigma set up. And you've got some, I'm going to walk through some of the settings on that as well. So first thing I want to do on these charts, let's add the speedometer. That is not included, and I think you really do need to have the speedometer on these. So we're going to right click, we're going to go into indicators, and on the right hand side, on the left hand side here, we'll scroll through and we're going to add the AlgoBox speedometer. Now the alert value on the ones, I'm going to set this to 100. I really want to see, you might want to set this to 75 later, but I'm going to put it up pretty high for right now. You can change that later as you want. We'll go ahead and enable the voice rate. Leave that at 4, but one of those items right here, I like to have the speedometer off of the label, but right down here on panel, a lot of people have been asking, hey, I'm getting stuff down on the bottom. If you don't select this instead of new panel, we want to change this. Do not do new panel. Repeat, do not do new panel. Select same as input series. I will show you the differences between those two here in just a moment, but I'm going to go ahead and do it the right way first, just in case you want to just go, hey, just give me the right way to know what I should do about that. So there we go. Now we've got our speedometer right here, so I'm going to be able to tell what the speed of NASDAQ is. Again, we want to be trading this over 75 on the ones, but again, we'll talk about different time frames of what you can use this on any time frame, but on the lowest, if you're using the Enigma the way I'm using it in our live streams, on the lowest time frames, you will want to have these settings. Okay, I'm going to go up here on this one and show you what happens if you don't do that, or if you've already got this set on some of your other charts. We had someone in our room ask this earlier today, so I'm going to show you what happens if I just default this with no sound or whatever. That's fine. So I'm going to add the speedometer, but you'll notice now we get this new, it's called the panel down here. Understanding NinjaTrader and the way that it draws things, you're going to get this panel down here if you don't select that. Now you can scroll it down. I saw somebody say, hey, you can eliminate it by scrolling down. Yes, that's true, but in case you want to do it the way so that it doesn't have it there at all, go into speedometer, select the panel. Right now you'll notice it's on panel number 2. So the way that that works is the first panel is 1, second one is 2. 0 is considered same as input series. So we want to select that same as input series. There we go. And in just a moment, that will go away. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to apply that to my other charts here real quick. I'll put it on pause. All right, so I've added the speedometer to each of them. So you'll want to be able to, this is so easy to select. Like right now, which one do I want to trade? Right here, look at that. We just crossed over 100 here. So we've got good speed coming here on the NQ. So the next Enigma signal I would want to take off of this one right here. If I am choosing between, do I want to trade 17 or a 9 or a 9, or do I want to trade 100, right? This is the golden nugget right here. So when the market's going at this speed, I can now choose, I'll be looking for my setup here on NQ. And of course, how do we filter? Don't forget, pull up the MACV Ultimate in our Discord room. I'll bring that up here into the room here and show you how to get to that. So if you are in our room here in Discord on the left-hand side, you're going to scroll down until public chat, and we're going to go into the MACV Ultimate alerts right here. So I'm going to scroll down. What's my current filter? Right there, easy, so easy to see right there. MACV Ultimate says sell side. So right now I would only be taking Enigmas to the sell side on any one of our charts. Now let's go to one more item. It looks like we may need to add some additional days of data because today is a Sunday. Remember, on a Sunday, what do we need to do? There is a video on this in our room. Type !Sunday, or we're at the beginning of the week here, so we're coming in after the holidays. If I type Sunday, our little bot is going to pop up with Sunday video. And this Sunday video, one of the things in there that it tells you to do is to make sure you've loaded 3 days of data on there so that it goes all the way back to Friday if you are coming in on a Monday. So I'm going to do that here real quick, and some of those Enigmas will start to show up here right now. All right, so I've got my 3 days of data loaded up here now. If you want to do that, you right click and go to data series on your charts there on that menu, or Control F is the hotkey for that. So I'm going to go to data series, and then that's going to allow me to select how many days of data that I've got on that chart. So there we go. By default, we're going to set this to 1 so we can do things very quickly. But on a Sunday, you're going to need those additional 3 days. If you have any issues, I always recommend go ahead and set this to 3 days. Maybe your MACV Ultimate filter also may not be working as well. Speaking of MACV Ultimate filters, let me zoom in to our charts. There we go. Wrong screen there. All right, let's pull this up here. So hold on, where's my little camera thing's all jacked up down there. All right, that's okay. Start of the new year here, and got a few things got to fix up on our live stream setup here. So we set that. Let's go into our indicators one more time here, and I'm going to show you some of the settings inside of our Enigma that we may want to play around with. By default, again, we're going to show you all the Enigmas. We're going to show you the long side, we're going to show you the short side, but we can do MACV filtering built in. So if you don't have the MACV filtering pulled up on your screens like this, if you don't want to have the MACV Ultimate pulled up, or if you just don't have access to it at the time, you can actually enable MACV filtering, and it is built into the code. Now, there's pros and cons with these things. Some of you think, oh, that's great, I want to turn that on. Well, you're not going to see some of those, like you're going to get entries. It's going to be awesome. But what if you wanted to use these for exits? So for me particularly, I don't tend to use this most of the time. Now, if I'm doing this for a full auto system, I might want to use this. Or again, you may have your own reasons if you want to put this in combination with other filters. So if you want to put this on a standard 1080p AlgoBox and you want to exit on a harmonic, for instance, then you may want to use this, but it's kind of up to you. But what this does is this is not going to show you any signals. If I select this, it's only going to show the signals that are in the direction of the MACVU, okay? The other one, now color code signals. Let's look at what the color code signals does. I'm going to go ahead and uncheck filtering, so I'm going to show them, but this will color code them. Now this gets a little bit confusing as well, so I want to explain this. The color codes actually are going off of the MACV Ultimate. Okay, so it may get a little bit confusing because what you may have is the MACV Ultimate may be green, but you are looking for, well, it's like, well, what about the short layout? Let me show you what I mean. This is going to be a little bit confusing, but let's see if we can find an example in here right now. Okay, so I scrolled back, and here's an example right here. So this is showing a green. Right? Why would it be showing a green? This looks like it's a short because you can see it's a red triangle in there, right? But you're like, wow, this is, that ends up being a short signal. Yes, normally this is going to be red in color, okay? However, right now it is green because the MACV at the time this came up was green. Now, if this had been a break of this level, boom, we take that up and out. But this is one of those where we can either skip on that play or know that, hey, we do technically right now, the majority of the MACV Ultimate, all of the instruments are looking to the long side right now, although you can see the Enigma is so powerful, it ends up taking it down anyway. So you can play around with those settings to see. That was a great one if that was ultimately end up being a red. Another scenario right here, again, this is saying that the MACV Ultimate currently is green, but the NASDAQ is on a tear and dropping, okay? Here is one that is, well, that one's actually a good one, but this one. So that one would be a short. Normally that one right there is going to be red, okay, for the short, but the MACV Ultimate was green, ends up letting us know that this next signal was one of those great setups. So let's scroll through these here with the color coding off, because again, that's confusing, but look at this. I like having these turned off in general, but I did want to explain this because some people have been asking about that. So I'm going to go ahead and uncheck the Enigma color codings, and so those should show up. Now, mind you, these take a little bit to calculate, so sometimes if your computer is slower, these are going to take longer. But do you see how the color coding can be good or bad? Okay, kind of up to you to know. That's why I personally like to leave those filters off. I like to use the discretion of knowing, okay, I want to take a peek at these myself. And that's going to allow me the opportunity that even if the MACV is green, like there were in these scenarios here, I had an opportunity I could still scalp for a bit of this, even if I wasn't interested in maybe necessarily having the big drop. But yes, the MACV Ultimate was green while this one showed up, but it was still a fantastic play. I would be curious if this ends up making a run up afterwards. Nope, next one that calls in, we do get a green right here down at the bottom, ends up being 2 that fail. Again, this is not a perfect system, I don't want to say fail. That one still, you know, gets you 10 ticks, but did it get, you know, big winner that we're trying to get? This one, again, nice little up move, but is it good for target 1? Yes. But am I going to get, well, this is good for 10 or 15. So this is both a T1, T2 scenario. Both of those were, again, great signal setup. Nothing in life is ever going to be perfect. There's no absolute perfect signals that's going to ever have full winners and losers. But those are some of the settings that I am playing with, and some of the internals, if you're talking about the MACVU filtering and whatnot, that you may want to use or not use. Like me, I like to be the kind of controller for mine. I leave those settings off. I like to see all of the enigmas. I get to see all of the opportunities. I want to point out one more thing here. Why do I combine this? I think it's a very powerful thing to combine the enigmas with the crosses. Now, not just the white crosses, but also the alpha omegas. So on each one of these charts, this may be something else that you want to play with, is adding in the alpha omegas. I do not have those on these, but if you want to add those in, let's add in the alpha omega crosses on those, and I'll show you what that can do as well. All right, so if you want to add the alpha omega crosses, you're going to go to Flowmaster Alpha Omega. I'm just going to double click it. You're going to have some default settings, hopefully, are set like mine now. 1815. Now, if you've been following Mike Schwartz, he's actually showing you some ideas there on 10 and 15. Again, any way that you want to play it, you're going to see more. Obviously, if you set this to a, if the top number was 15 and the lower one was 10, you're going to see more of those. I tend to like this 15, 18 because I'm looking for those powerful reversals, although I really like what Mike's doing there, being able to decide on those. So we'll talk about more of those in the alpha omegas, but I'm just going to go ahead real quickly, add the alpha omegas on my charts. I'm going to do that on each one of those, and you'll see that you'll have some additional opportunities that are going to show you some really cool things. Now, while that's loading, I want to talk about this double cross right here. And this is a DCDM, but do you notice a couple things that we could have caught this for this big drop? How do we know that we could have caught that big drop? Well, number one, because there are 3 there, this is actually a cluster, right? Didn't have enough room there to type that out. But this is now a cluster because there are 3 of them instead of 2. So it's no longer a double cross double move. But can we still use it for a double cross sometimes when you have the cluster? Yes, but what do we know about this one? On top of the fact that it's a cluster, the best ones come inside of accumulation zones. So this is inside of an accumulation zone. You can pretty well easily see, and usually we do our blue set up like this, right? So we draw in. This is an accumulation zone moving sideways here. So we get a double cross inside of an accumulation zone. What do? We reverse. This is not the carry through, because some people are going to ask, well, Vinny, it says that the target is up there. That's correct. For a double cross, double move, that would be the play. However, what do we see? What overrides that? What is one of the overrides that we have for a double cross, double move? When to know when these should be filtered for a play in the opposite direction. This is a classic right here. We are going to look for a reversal because it's inside of an accumulation zone. I always like to have opportunities to talk about setups like that. We do this in other videos, but when I see one right there while we're doing other demos, I'm going to take the opportunity to drive that home because I feel like that's what a good mentor should do. All right, hopefully you guys got a lot out of this video. I will catch you guys in the next one.